Hey, what's going on everybody? This is An from Blackwater Aquatics, and in this video I'll be showing you the techniques I use to breed bettas in the Betta Splendens complex. I'm going to be breaking these videos up into a two-part series, so be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification button. And for those of you who are subscribed to me on Instagram, you'll know that towards the end of this video, I will be giving away one free pair of betta. So make sure you watch towards the end. The techniques I'm going to be showing you here would work for both wild and domestic bettas as long as they are in the Splendens complex. So without further ado, let's get started. The first thing you're going to need is a 5 to 10 gallon tank. You want at least a 5 gallon tank due to the fact that it holds more water, and that's going to keep your temperature much more stable. And because the fries are so susceptible to changes in water chemistry, you want to have a tank that you can hold the fries for 2 weeks without changing much water. The next thing you're going to need is a heater. I like to use a 50 watt heater. If you have a 25 watt heater, that works fine too. Just don't go overboard and use like a 100 watt heater. It's a 5 gallon tank, guys. You don't need to go crazy. Keeping the temperature at 80 degrees will not only promote faster fry growth, but it will also deter from the most common cause of fries death, which are velvet and ick. Next up, you're going to need to find some tribe leaves and tribe plant materials. Just make sure that they are nice and brown and not green. The purpose of these leaves are not actually for the tannin and the acidification of the water, although it does help. Their true purpose is to induce a microbloom. The microbes from these leaves will help keep your tank clean by reducing the toxicity of ammonia and nitrates. Furthermore, you're going to be cultivating paramecium in your tank so that the fries have something to eat after they become free swimming. This is particularly important because in my experience, fries have a very difficult time eating baby brine shrimp when they first become free swimming. I do know a very experienced breeder who feed the fries baby brine shrimp right off the bat. What you have to do is you have to actually feed the fries the shrimp as soon as they hatch. But I never really particularly have good luck with this technique. What I do is just have the paramecium available for the fries for the first few days so that they can grow and eventually eat baby brine shrimp without any issue. And lastly, you're going to need something for the fish to build a nest on. I suggest you use a bubble wrapper. They provide a nice floating material for the fish to build a nest on, as well as looking very natural like their natural bubble nest. If you've been following me on Instagram, you'll notice that I often use a box-like device as a nest for my bettas. It's a 3D printed open-ended box that is attached to the side of the glass, with one opening end pressed up against the glass allowing me to see them. The other side has two lips on the top and the bottom that works to hold the bubble nest in and keeps the eggs from rolling off. The idea behind this is to provide the male a nest that keeps their fries and eggs from being scattered throughout the tank. In my opinion, it makes them feel very safe and increases my chances of success. I came up with this idea almost a year ago when I witnessed a pair of copper Smaragadina cave spawning. I realized that bettas in the Splendens complex can and will cave spawn given the chance. So after thinking around with various pipe-like devices, I eventually came up with the box-like device I have now. But regardless of whatever it is that you use, if the male finds it suitable, he will begin making a bubble nest when he sees the female. Alright, so let's move on to picking the right pair. Bettas, like humans, have a compatibility thing. Some pairs will not breed no matter what you do, while other pairs will constantly breed without much fighting. And just like us, it is ultimately up to the female to decide whether or not she wants to breed with the male. I oftentimes find that older males are much more experienced, while younger females are much more willing to mate. However, it's always best to try to use two pairs of similar age. This is because if you use an older male with a younger female, you'll end up with having a female-only spawn. Likewise, if you're using an older female with a younger male, you'll end up with just a male-heavy spawn. What I usually do to find if a pair is compatible is put them together for a bit, see how they respond. Are they excited to see each other? Do the female show her breeding stripes? The presence of breeding stripes indicates that the female is ready to breed, and the lack of aggression is always a good thing. Alright, so now it's time to put it all together. Pour the tank halfway with an oil and tap water mix to keep the pH at around 7. Then you're going to go ahead and crank the temperature up to 80 degrees. Then go ahead and start adding in your plant materials. They should be dry, nice and brown, and this will incite a microbloom. Go ahead and find a way to cover the top of the tank. I use a simple saran wrap, but you can use anything you want. This will keep the water from evaporating and keep the temperature stable. After 1 or 2 days, you're going to notice that your tank's getting cloudy. That's okay, don't freak out, it's just a microbloom. This is what we want. Some of the larger microbes will be food source for your fries when they hatch. However, I like to add in paramecium. The paramecium that I add will consume some of the smaller bacteria and microbes, eventually causing a paramecium bloom in your tank. Paramecium are much more useful than other microbes because they are large, and because the fries are visual hunters, having large microbes makes it easier for the fries to see and find their food. Paramecium also stay alive in your tank for a long period of time, so you don't have to worry about the water getting bad. Some people are lucky enough to have paramecium already in the tank, so they don't need to add paramecium. But for me, I always add in some to make sure. Having readily available food source for your fries as soon as they become free swimming can mean that your fries can move on to baby brine shrimp much faster. This is very important because fries, making them grow fast is very... Once the water clears up a bit, you can go ahead and add in the pair of fish that you want to breed. The male and female will probably both flare to each other, and soon the male will find a suitable spot to start building his bubble nest. The dead leaves will act as a refuge for the female because there will probably be some fighting and fin nipping. Don't freak out because this is actually completely normal. What I do is I leave the female and male together for about a week, and if they don't mate by then, I remove them, isolate them, and then try again later. I suggest you have different combination of males and females because sometimes two pairs won't mate no matter what you do. If everything goes well, at this point, your fish will begin mating. The female will approach the male in a head down, clamped fin posture. She might be a bit beat up, but don't worry, domestic abuse is completely normal in the beta world. The two pair will begin swimming around each other to find a perfect position for which they begin mating. This process might take a while because inexperienced male and female literally do not know what to do. One of the most common problems you're going to encounter is the male inability to wrap around the female properly. This is why it might actually take a few hours before you see any eggs. When a successful spawn occurs, the male will wrap around the female in a C-shaped fashion. After a couple seconds, the male will release and the female will begin dropping her eggs. She will stay frozen for a few seconds as the egg drop. He will then quickly pick up the eggs and place it under his bubble nest. Oftentimes, the female will also join the male in picking up the eggs and placing them under the bubble nest. However, pay very close attention because it's actually very common for the male and female to start eating the eggs. This is called egg eating, and it's very common in young pairs who have no experience in mating. But if everything goes well, the male and the female will begin depositing the eggs in the bubble nest. Once the mating ritual has ended, the male will begin chasing the female outside the nest. He will actually be pretty aggressive towards her. During this period, to keep her from eating the eggs or the fries, you're going to want to remove the female. After removing the female, at this point on, the survival of the fries will be solely dependent on the male. For the next 48 hours, the male will work tirelessly to keep the eggs afloat in the bubble nest. He will constantly pick up the eggs that are fallen and put them back in the nest, as well as blow new bubbles. I suggest that during this time, you keep the lights on, dimly lighted, as well as avoid giving him any food. The eggs develop relatively quickly, and after about 12 hours, you're going to see the eggs take the shape of a small fry. The speed and development of the eggs during this time depend a lot on temperature. This is why I recommend that most people keep the temperature above 80 degrees. After about 36 hours, the fries will hatch, but they are not free swimming yet. During this stage, they will continue to absorb the egg sac. You will notice that the fries are now able to propel themselves to the top of the bubble nest. I actually call this stage the bouncing fry stage, because you see tons of fries constantly trying to swim back up to the bubble nest, appearing as though they're like bouncing. As the fries begin to absorb the egg sac, you're going to notice that they begin to take on a darker color. And finally, after about 72 hours from the time of conception, the fries will be free swimming. The father during this time will still try his best to keep the fries near the nest. It appears though that it's very important for the fries to be near the surface during the early developmental stage. This is possibly because it is important for the fries to develop the air-breathing labyrinth organs, a trait that is shared within all bettas. Alright, we're now going to finally talk about raising them for the first week. The first week of the fries is the most crucial stage, and this is where most people fail, including people who are very experienced. I have lost many spawns within the first week for various reasons, such as starvation and disease. Soon after the fries began to free swim, they'll begin to look for food. This is the reason why I value having a paramecium bloom in a fries tank. The faster you can get your fries to comfortably eat baby brine shrimp, the faster you can get them to grow. Without adequate food for the first few days, the fries will die of starvation. Weak, starving fries are also more prone to diseases, such as velvet, ick, and various types of bacterial and fungal diseases. During this stage, I actually prefer to leave the fodder with the fries. I know other people remove the fodder because they fear that the fodder would predate on the babies. I actually find that if the fodder is able to not eat the babies during the early stages, he will most likely not predate on the fries during the first week. His usefulness will also come in handy when you start feeding the fries baby brine shrimp. And if you haven't done so, you should start hatching baby brine shrimp right about now. Because you don't know when the fries are able to eat baby brine shrimp, I start to put the brine shrimp inside the tank as soon as I can. Remember what I say about leaving the male with the fries for the first week? The male will eat any of the baby brine shrimp that the fries cannot eat themselves. That way, I do not have to worry about uneaten baby brine shrimp spoiling the water. You'll know when the fries are eating the brine shrimp when it's showing the characteristic orange-yellow belly. Some people are concerned that if you feed the male during this stage, that he will mistakenly eat the fries thinking it's food. I actually have never had this experience. For some reason, the male knows that he's eating a fry or he's eating a brine shrimp. And if he mistakenly swallows a fry, he'll spit it right back out. It's actually quite amazing how he knows. Betta fries are very prime for growth, which is why it's important that you feed them constantly throughout the day. It is better to feed them multiple times throughout the day with smaller servings than it is to feed them once with the large servings. If you're doing a good job of keeping their bellies full, you're going to notice how fast they grow. They'll literally grow overnight before your eyes. For the first 2 weeks and a half, baby brine shrimp will be the main source of food. Also, during this time, make sure you're doing at least 10% water changes every week. Temperature must also be stable because rapid change in temperature are very deadly for fries. and is actually one of the triggers for diseases. So make sure that during the weeks following the first week, the water parameters are maintained properly. Also, towards the end of the first week, I go ahead and remove the male. At this point, he's not really needed, and he'll just compete with the fries for the food. Alright, so you made it this far, congratulations! You've gotten through the hardest part of raising beta fries. In the next video, part 2, I will show you the techniques you need to know to raise them to adulthood as fast as possible, preferably by 3 months. Alright, now for the giveaway. I'm going to be giving away a free pair of wild-caught Betta Siam Orientalis. These fish are very special because they are actually wild-caught bettas within the Splendens complex. Most wild bettas in this complex are actually captive bred, so you do not know the real genetic history behind them. These fish are caught by my good friend Min from Vietnam, and they are one of my favorite type within this complex. Originally, I was going to give away a free pair of carpet aliens, but I just simply don't have enough females to give away. But it's something that I'll do in the future. Continue to follow me, and you'll get one. Alright, so here are the instructions. First, you need to follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and make sure that you join the Facebook group. Then, you need to share this video on either Facebook or Instagram. Then, underneath my Facebook page, right under the post in which I'm going to post this video, I want you to write, "I'm here for the giveaway." Your name will then be extracted to an Excel sheet, and a random person will be selected. We will then message you to make sure that you actually share the video on either Facebook or Instagram. The deadline for this giveaway is on January 15th, and the giveaway is only valid for people living in the United States. Sorry, we can't ship international. Alright, that's gonna be all guys. Make sure you stay tuned for part 2. Thanks for watching.